Mangalacharana Shloka. It's the first verse in your book. I'll chant and then you can repeat after me. Tapo bhikshina papanam Shantanam vitaragina Mumukshunam apekshoyam AtmaBodho vidhiyate. We'll chant it now together. Tapo bhikshina papanam Shantanam vitaragina Mumukshunam apekshoyam AtmaBodho vidhiyate. So, this Mangalacharana Shloka we chant every time we do AtmaBodha to remind us that the adhikari or the student for this text is the one who's gone through tapas, who's done a lot of tapas. There's a slight echo, is it? Yeah? Is it? Yeah.
Volume? Just the volume?
Maybe, just a little bit further. You might have to chant or something so she can hear. Just put the Harium. That's better now? Oh. No, more at all. Harium. 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 Better? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, as I was saying, that we chant the Mangalacharana Shloka every time when we do AtmaBodha to remind us that the adhikari or the student is one who's done a lot of tapas. Tapo bhikshina papanam shantanam vitaragina. Means the weaknesses or the papas have decayed of this adhikari to a great extent, and shantanam, one of a pure mind, calm mind, vitaragina, one who has gained some amount of vairagya, now comes to a text like AtmaBodha. AtmaBodha, the knowledge of the self. Last time I was here, we had talked about several verses. So let's review those verses. I think we did from verse number 10 to 10, 11, 12, and 13. So we can read those together. Page number 30. Yathaka. Everybody has it? Page number 30. Yathakasho rishikeshaha Nanopadhigato vibhuhu Tadbhedat bhinnavadbhati Tannashe kevalo bhavet Nanopadhivashadeva Jati varnashramadayah Atmanyaropitastoye Rasavarnadhivedavat Panchikritamabhuta Sambhavam karma sanchitam Shariram Sukha-dukhanam
Shariram Sukha-dukhanam
Bhogayatana-muchyate
Bhogayatana-muchyate
Pancha-prana-mano-buddhi
Pancha-prana-mano-buddhi
Dashindriya-samandhitam
Dashindriya-samandhitam
Apanchīkrita-bhūtotham
Apanchīkrita-bhūtotham
Sukshmāngam bhoga-sadhanam.
Sukshmāngam bhoga-sadhanam.
So, I know it has been more than a month, I think, or more than a couple of months. So I will give the background of where we are so we know where we're continuing from. Okay? So as you know, verse number 1 is the Mangalacharana. And this I just went over. Basically somebody who has sadhana chatushtaya. And this we studied elaborately in AtmaBodha. Comes to a text like AtmaBodha, the knowledge of the self. Verses 2 to verse 5, the breakdown is, verse 2 to verse 5 has to do with the knowledge of the self. Because first it says that knowledge is the direct means to liberation. Like how? Like fire is the direct means to cooking. You remember? So knowledge is the direct means to liberation. So moksha cannot be gained without knowledge. Then it was said, well, what about karma? Why can't we use karma? Then it said that aviroditaya karma na vidyam vinivartayet. Means karma is not opposed to, it's not opposed to ignorance. So it cannot destroy ignorance. But knowledge is opposed to ignorance. Just like light is opposed to darkness. Therefore knowledge can destroy ignorance and not karma. But is karma helpful? Yes, for purifying the mind. Then we saw that even if this knowledge is there, parichinna iva, even though I am Atma, I am the self, as though I feel limited, parichinna. Why? Because I feel like there's these conditionings on me. I identify with the conditionings, with my finitude, so I feel limited and I don't identify with Atma. But when I understand my true nature, then it's like the clouds covering the sun, and as they pass away, the sun shines in its own right. So that ignorance is like clouds. Who's illuminating the ignorance? Atma is illuminating the ignorance. And can the clouds actually cover Atma? It can't. Ignorance cannot actually cover Atma. But when self-knowledge dawns, then I realize that I am the true self, and it's as though those clouds slowly move away. Then we saw that after one gains knowledge, even that thought of I am Brahman, that also dissolves, right? That thought that I am Brahman doesn't have to stay all the time. Not that when we gain knowledge, we have to continuously say Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi. No. That thought dissolves and becomes part and parcel of us. So this was verses 2 to 5 was all about self-knowledge. Then we saw verses 6 to 9 had to do with the falsity of the world. So if you remember, first we saw that samsara swapna tulyo hi. Samsara is like a dream. It's like a dream, right? And swakale satyavad bhati means in the time of ignorance, this whole samsara appears so real, appears like it's really there. But prabodhi sati asat bhaved. Upon the dawn of knowledge, we realize the falsity of this world. And how else was the falsity shown? The falsity was also shown as budbudaniva varini, like bubbles in water. You remember? That the worlds are created, sustained and destroyed in the self, like bubbles are created, sustained and destroyed in Atma. And then we also saw how that the world is going to appear so real, and it won't, the falsity won't go until I know the substratum. Like the silver in shell won't go until I realize that it is actually shell. So this is just, I'm just touching upon revising what we've done so that you know. Then we also saw the example of gold and ornaments. Just like the sum and substance of all ornaments is gold, the sum and substance of this whole creation is that Atma, that pure consciousness. Okay? So from 6 to 9 we saw falsity of the world. Then, last time I came, we started from 10 to 14 is a section on upadhis. Upadhi means conditionings. So in verse 10, it showed how Atma is one. It's only one. But it appears like it's many. How do you mean? Space. If you look all around the room, space is only one. There's only actually one space. But we put here temple space, we put there hall space, we put upstairs room space. We're the ones who put these barriers, and then we start calling them temple space, hall space, room space. We are the ones who put that. But actually, space in its own right doesn't have any barriers. It doesn't have any barriers. And in fact, in and through the divisions of temple space or room space or hall space, in and through those divisions, there is space, isn't it? And then in this wall, there is space. And in another wall outside, there is space. So actually, this wall cannot cut space, cannot break space, because in and through it, there is space. So it's space, space, space everywhere. Nothing can actually cut space. But when I put these borders around, it's as though I'm limiting the space, and I give that feeling of limitation. I get that feeling of limitation. But actually space is all pervading. Yada akasha rishikesha. Now you look at the example of ourselves. There's space in me, and there's space in you, and there's space in you. Right? Now, there's only one space, but because of my body, I feel like this is Shubhani's space. And you may feel like that's your space, and that's your space. You may feel like that's your spaces because of his body. But actually, in and through the body, there is space, isn't it? Can the body cut the space? No. It's just because because there is this body, I get the feeling that there's only one Atma here. That it's just, I have my own personal space, like my space, right? And you have your own personal space, and you have your own personal space, because there is this feeling of this kind of body. But the fact is, space penetrates through the entire body. There's only one space. So in the same way, if that's the condition of space, what to talk of consciousness? Consciousness is much subtler than space. So how are we saying that I have my own consciousness, and you have your own consciousness, and you have your own consciousness? How are we going to say that? That everyone has their own consciousness, when this cannot cut consciousness? In and through the pores of this is consciousness. So just as space is all pervading, and it just appears that it's different spaces because of the conditionings, in the same way that one self is all pervading, but it appears to be many because of these conditionings. The conditioning of my body My mind gives me the feeling that I have my own Atma. But Atma, this cannot break Atma. Just like this cannot break space. So once I understand that, I understand there's only one Atma and it's Vibhu. It's all pervading. This is usually where a seeker gets lost. Huh? How is there many Atmas? Right? You can come to Atma, but how is there, I feel like there's many Atmas. I don't understand that there's only one. This is where the seeker usually gets lost because we take these conditionings to be real. We take them as if they can actually break consciousness. But nothing can break our infinity. Nothing can break it. It is one. And if it was more than one, it wouldn't be infinite. So in this way, we saw the example of space. Yatha akasha rishikesha. Then we also saw the example of water. Rasavarnadi bhedavata. Meaning that just like in pure water, so many colors, so many tastes are put in water. In the pure self, Atma, so many things are aropita. So many things are superimposed in that pure Atma that makes it feel like we're different. But see, in Vedanta, we have to understand that we believe that we are the same and we are different. We are the same in the level of Atma. All of us are one, same. In the level of Upadhi, the body, mind, intellect, we are different. In this level, we can never be the same. We won't be the same. We are different. And therefore, in our Bhagavad Gita itself, there are classifications based on our differences, right? The example juxtaposed with water is that there's many varnas, there's many ashramas, there's many jatis. Why? Even our Shastra says we need to classify things because we are different. We are different in terms of upadhi. And the classification is okay because it's for efficiency. And we talked about this also. When we classify things and people for efficiency, it's completely okay. Like in school, middle school, high school, elementary, etc. Right? Or like if you, in an office, this is the HR department, this is the finance department. That's okay because it's for efficiency. But what's not okay is when these classifications go out of hand and they become racial discrimination or gender discrimination. That's not what our Shastra talks about. So when, this has to be very clear, when we talk about Varna, which is the color, which is the temperament of the mind, or ashrama, it's based on the upadhis. It's based on this so that we can execute our dharma. And what is dharma for? Dharma is nothing but to realize we are Brahma, that we are all one and the same. So, in Advaita Vedanta, we are the same and different. Don't mix up the two. In the level of Vyavahara, or transactional level, we have to interact the way we need to interact as per the upadhis. Like mother and son cannot be like, okay, we're the same. Like, it can't be like that. The son and daughter have to give, respect to the parents. Or the student has to respect the guru, right? Or the parents have to respect the grandparents, etc. We have to do what's necessary when we're in the transactional world. But our knowledge is always rooted in that one sameness, that one Brahman. So, I told you before, inside Rama, outside drama, right? So inside you remember there's only one drama. But outside you play whatever drama we have to play. And play it well. Make it entertaining. Right? So also at least we enjoy. Otherwise we won't enjoy life if our lives are so boring and dull. So make that drama entertaining also. Okay? So this was the examples of upadhi. Then we also saw last time, what are the upadhis that we have? What are these conditionings that we have? Can you tell me? So last time we covered the Sthula Sharira and Sukshma Sharira. This was in verse 12 and 13. So verse 12 we saw the first upadhi is the gross body. So gross body we all know, right? Gross body is, I won't go through the process of Panchikarana because I'm sure you know. The gross body, the cause of the gross body is what? The material cause is that grossified elements, grossified 5 elements. Panchi Krita Mahabhuta, right? And the efficient cause or the nimitta karana, why I have this kind of body is because of prarabdha, right? So body, the upadana karana or material cause is gross 5 elements. The nimitta karana or efficient cause is prarabdha karma, why I have this body. What is the function of my body? Bhoga ayatana. It's a counter for me to experience the world. If somebody wants to get in touch with me, they have to come to my body. This is my permanent address. Remember? This is my permanent address, not my house address, because I won't always be there, but I will always be here. And what is the dharma of the body? Birth, asti it is, jayate, birth, then vardhate, growth, viparinamate, maturity, apakshiyate, decay, and vinashyati. It gets destroyed. This is the dharma of the body. So if a body gets sick, that's the dharma. If a body grows old, that's the dharma. That's the dharma of the body. Then the second upadhi we came to was sukshma sharira. What is the upadana karana of sukshma sharira or material cause? Apanchi krita mahabhuta means those ungrossified elements, subtle elements is the cause of the subtle body. What is the nimitta karana? The sentient cause is prarabdha. Why do I have the kind of mind I have, etc.? Because prarabdha. I have a human mind. That is prarabdha. And then, what is the subtle body composed of? Pancha prana. Then what else? Pancha jnanendriyas, right? Jnanendriyas. Pancha karmendriyas. And mana, buddhi, chitta, ahankara, right? So 19 or 17 components. And what is the function of my sukshma sharira? Bhoga sadhana. It's how I am able to experience the world. People can do things to my body, but the experience comes in my mind. This is the experiencer. Bhoga sadhana, the means of experiencing the world. So, I know that was a lot in a nutshell, but are we all on the same page now? Yeah? Okay, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page before I get in. Okay, so now if we have the Sthula Sharira and Sukshma Sharira, what is the third upadhi or third conditioning? Causal body or Karana Sharira. So now we are going to see that. Okay? So now we are going to see the third conditioning, which is the causal body. And from here we start. So number 14. Anadya vidya nirvachya.
Anadya vidya nirvachya.
Karanopādhiruchyate.
Karanopādhiruchyate.
Upadhitritayadanyam.
Upadhitritayadanyam.
Atmanam avadharayet.
Atmanam avadharayet.
Together. Anadya vidya nirvachya. कारणोपाधिरुच्यते उपाधित्रितयादन्यम् आत्मानम् अवधारयेत्. Okay. So, what is this Karana Upadhi Uchyate? Karana, causal, Upadhi. Causal, Upadhi means conditioning, Uchyate. This causal body is what? Anadi. Anadi, beginningless. Avidya, ignorance. Anirvachya, indescribable. And what does it say here? Upadhi tritayat anyam. Anyam, other than Upadhi tritayat. Other than these three Upadhis, Sthula, Sukshma, Karana Shariras, other than these three, Atmanam Avadharayet. Means know that this Atma is other than these three Upadhis. Avadharayet, know for certain Atma is different from the three of them. So first let us go into Karana Sharira or the causal body. Why is it called Avidya? Why is it called Avidya? Because it is the opposite of Vidya. So na Vidya is Avidya. It's opposite of Vidya. So it is called Avidya. So unlike if you see the Sthula Sharira, you can see this is my gross body. Sukshma Sharira, why it's called subtle body? Because it's not perceivable by the senses. We can't see, but we feel. Your mind, your intellect, we feel that. This Karana Sharira, it's like one homogeneous thing. It's the cause of it. So it doesn't have any kind of tangible form that we can imagine, right? It is just one homogeneous mass. But think about it as just plain ignorance. Just ignorance is called Karana Sharira. So if ever I'm wondering what is this body, is Karana Sharira is actually ignorance. But ignorance of what? Ignorance of myself. So Karana Sharira is ignorance of my true nature. So therefore it's called Avidya. Now, when did this avidya begin? When did this ignorance begin? When did it begin? Since when was I ignorant of myself?
Since the morning.
Is it since we were born?
Or even before.
I thought when you're in the womb, you know what's going on.
No, but then we've had many births before, so.
No, but every time you're in the womb, at least the other thing that said you know who you are when you're in the womb, because you remember your past life when you're a womb.
Well, see, the thing is, we wouldn't have been born if we weren't ignorant, right?
Exactly.
We are only born because we're ignorant, right? So that means we still, even in the womb, we're ignorant. But when did this ignorance begin? We don't know. We don't know. That's why it's called beginningless. Beginningless. Like if I ask you, since when were you ignorant of the Japanese language? We don't know. Since when was I ignorant of something? We don't know. Since when were we ignorant of I don't know, some place called Titicaca? Since when were we ignorant of it? We don't know, right? We don't know. It's this ignorance which is beginningless. We don't know when we've had it from. We don't know when is many people in Vedanta will ask, when was the first birth? When was my first birth? Or when was my first vasana? Or what was my first karma? The thing is, we don't know because it's a circle. And in a circle, you can't trace the beginning. You can't trace it. We don't know when did it start. We cannot trace that. It's beginningless. And being that it's beginningless, is it endless?
No, it can be.
No.
No.
You can get knowledge.
Yeah.
Get knowledge.
Because when we get knowledge, then avidya ends. So even if it's anadi, it has anta. It has an end. Because it ends with knowledge. Now what happens with some people is they go on inquiring into how did this ignorance happen? When did it happen? And they go deep, deep, deep into ignorance. But let me ask you, if you are in a house and it's burning down, what are you going to do? Run out. Are you going to find out why is this house burning down? And how did this fire come about? And why is all that smoke happening? Nobody's going to do that. You're just going to run out of there. In the same way, in the study of Vedanta, there's no point in spending so much time wondering why we're all ignorant. The main thing is we have to get out. We have to get out. Durvara samsara davagni taptam. In Vivekachudamani it says we have to feel like this is a fire that's going on. It's like we're on fire over here. And we have to feel like we want to run out. But the thing is, we don't have that feeling. Right? We don't have that feeling of running out. We're just happily burning in samsara, happily heating up in samsara every day, more and more getting roasted. So until we get roasted enough, then one day when we get roasted enough, then we'll want to come out. So that day we get roasted, that is the best day of our lives. Because at least we're making our way towards moksha. Huh? So this is anadi. We don't know when it came from. And what else about this ignorance